Hi, everybody. Jonathan Broadbent here, your host of UnWoke Academy. Today, I thought I'd spin us off in a little bit of a different direction. What you're seeing here is the work attire that I so proudly bought many years ago when I launched this company. If you've listened to the podcast in the past, you know that I went through all kinds of hoops and high water and you name it to launch this company years ago. It was over a decade ago, 12, 13 years ago. I launched Planned Partners. Yeah, I don't know how well you can see the logo. I happen to have actually picked a green color for the logo that closely matches the green screen that's behind me. So it may not show up well. So there's a reason today for the 99th episode of UnWoke Academy. It's hard to believe 99 episodes and just about a year has gone by since we launched this podcast inauspiciously with my learning what a green screen actually even is and buying a microphone and camera and kind of off to the races. 99 episodes and we're approaching 20 million views. Thank you to those of you who subscribe and watch and follow. Please do share this with other people, because if you don't like the direction that the country is headed, the United States and the West in general, we're part of the answer. We're creating parallel economy, which brings me to the reason that I decided to wear this for today's episode. This actually is what I wear a lot of the time when I'm on virtual calls with clients of this company. So I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes and then talk about where we go from here. So Planned Partners, not everybody knows this, but there's kind of a behind the scenes in the world of 401k. Bear with me here. This will bear fruit. And actually, I think a lot of people will get something out of this and get a better, deeper understanding of the mechanisms of workplace retirement plans. That happens to be where I specialize, and I have what's called a third-party administrator background. I've worked in plan compliance and kind of the droll, boring areas of 401k plans and how they work for decades. And for a long time, I was kind of the person who would be brought in as a specialist in order to make sure that retirement plans are being run well. So again, as promised, a little behind the scenes, and trust me, this gets to where we need to go in today's conversation. So there are a lot of kind of mechanisms and discussions that take place at your employer. The employer, usually they'll meet on a regular basis and they make decisions about what investments to make available to folks like you, if you're fortunate enough to have a 401k, what's good, what's bad, how they document that, the plan's design and structure. So when plans talk about whether or not to add a Roth provision, which just simply means making Roth contributions available to you, and the notices that go out to participants letting you know of certain changes, all that stuff, that is what this company does. By design, we created a company that really just exclusively focuses on that. So along the way, we did some things very, very differently than market normal. And that made us sort of gave us some acclaim and some interest. So now there are lots of companies all across the country in the United States that call on us. So we get calls from payroll companies, insurance companies, private equity groups, law firms, accounting firms, you name it, professional organizations that get into the weeds of how things like 401k plans work and decide that they need to bring in the specialists. And that's what we do. We focus on that and then sort of do all the heavy lifting for plan administration. So hopefully on your side as an individual, you get the polished, finished experience of something that's good. By the way, I have to draw a little distinction here. It can be a little confusing because you may see an insurance company that you log into and access your plan and make changes to your contributions, or it might be an investment manager or a big name that is providing the 401k to you. That's not us. We're the ones that make sure that that company does their job well and delivers it to you in a meaningful way at hopefully the lowest price at the best possible service. There's a lot of negotiation that is supposed to go on there. And companies that do it well, they can get a really good offering with great investments at a low cost, with good servicing, things like automatic deductions that go from your payroll into the 401k, et cetera. There's a lot of that mechanism. And I run a team of people that specializes in all of that. And we do what's called fiduciary due diligence and reporting. We integrate with the accountant, the lawyer, the record keeper. Sorry, I'm throwing out some terms you may not know, but don't worry about that. You don't need to, there won't be homework. This is all stuff I'm kind of throwing in a little bit of extra in case somebody listens in that understands this world. That's the world that we live in. And I started this company with the intention, it was actually before it was Planned Partners, we started as fee-based 401k. We actually still have that domain. If you type in fee-based 401k, it will redirect to Planned Partners. That's our website. And because I started making some noises years ago as a conservative, as somebody fighting and advocating for traditional American values, which means not antagonizing children with things like race baiting and masking and forced mandated jabs and medical experiments. That was kind of a starting point for me. In my private life, I started advocating for those things and pushing for better quality education and all sorts of stuff. I kept, as a starting point, I was trying to stop schools from doing things like race baiting, because that is terrible and we should want none of it. That put me on the radar, unfortunately, of some bad actors. And we came under attack. It's now, I'm coming up on 3 years ago. It really started in earnest. And we got letters and phone calls and threatening demands. And at one point, I was invited in, I was told I had to go in to this boardroom and I got yelled at for about 4 hours from some nincompoop. My company has been under attack because here's what it looks like. And I'm going through this in the hopes that there are other people out there, when you go through it, know that there's light at the end of the tunnel and don't give in to bullies. There are bullies out there who want to suppress, attack, and mute conservative voices. Don't let it happen. If you are in this is just happens to be where I am as a small business owner, but lots of people, half of America or more, have come under attack. When you are silenced on social media, or you are what's called doxxed, when somebody finds out your personal information and publishes it online, encouraging people to attack you personally, when you are attacked physically for wearing something like a Jewish or Christian emblem that shows your faith or something, when you wear a political slogan or hat that leads to people attacking you, when you really do anything that deviates from the far left narrative that's being pushed these days, there are lots of different ways that we become attacked. One of them is called canceling, the cancel culture you may have heard of. And it's real. There are people out there that will I've seen it all over the place, including one of the first things that comes to mind is realtors. Realtors rely a lot on their reputation, and conservative realtors who try to fight back against the transgender agenda and the rainbow mafia, LGBTQ plus and all that stuff. Many of them came under attack, and they were receiving fake, false reviews on media platforms that review professionals. I'm not going to name any because I'm not prepared with any statements on them. But that is one of many different ways of attacking. There are people that showed up, for instance, to board meetings or did something to try and fight back, to claim and put their foot down in support of traditional Western and American values, and found that their boss was called. That's another crazy one. They would get these complaint calls, and before people figured out what was happening, There were bosses out there that didn't know any better and assumed, oh gosh, this is terrible. And they would call, human resources would call these conservatives into the office and say, why did you do such and such? And people were mystified because they hadn't done it. They were lies. So people on the left are, in my book, vicious and aggressive, and will do all kinds of things to silence conservative voices. Another example is swatting. I actually got to the point with such vitriol online about my stance on positions that I contacted local law enforcement. I know many of them, and I told them specifically in emails and voicemails, if somebody happens to call with some sort of weird threatening thing from my address, you know me, here's my mobile number, call me, because it's probably fake. It's probably somebody trying to create a swatting sort of situation. That all goes to just the horribleness of the environment that we're in. Everyone who is not buying into the far left woke narrative, who's fighting on any of the fronts, fighting for free speech, fighting for Second Amendment rights, for family and individual and women being able to defend themselves with Second Amendment rights, families being able to defend and protect their home and properties and their lives, livelihood, small business advocacy, fighting against medical tyranny, for proper education in schools. Anybody, literally, just about anybody who shows up to try to fight and advocate for those things becomes attacked by this sort of mob. And it's just a crazy thing having, I don't know completely understand where it comes from, but it's a bad thing. And that's where this company comes in. This is what proved to be, for the ne'er-do-wells, for the left, the best attack vector for me, because they figure if they can attack my income, they can shut me down, and I run out of steam, I run out of will, and I run out of voice. Well, I'm not letting that happen, and I hope nobody does either. Over the last couple of years, if you go way back to probably about 2 years ago, I did a series of interviews on weaponized regulators. I had a former lawyer who was disbarred under ridiculous circumstances, who was conservative. And that's awful, because we need more conservative lawyers to actually fight the woke, blob, leftist cabal lawyers. It was a child psychologist. We had a family that owned a construction business, all kinds of stuff. There are people in all walks of life who are being attacked right now. I, on social media, pretty quickly asserted that I don't care and people can attack me all they want. I don't have a boss that they can call. There isn't anybody that I answer to that is going to call me into the human resources office, because I am the human resources office. So after a couple of years of trying different vectors to shut me up, they sent in weaponized regulators. Of that, I'm personally certain. I'm certain for a number of reasons, not least of which is I have several friends in different industries entirely who all of us received virtually identical letters from different regulatory agencies, all within a month of each other. And we had all been to school board meetings. We had advocated against masking children. We had been advocating for conservative values and principles. That put us on the radar, and that proved to be the attack vector for the anti-American leftist globalist cabal who hate conservatives. What that resulted in, I have gone through now about, I lost track, I think it's about 32 months of weaponized regulators. By the way, I pushed and emailed, and I had assertive conversations with the people representing these regulatory agencies. And I can clearly, definitively say that neither I, my company, or anybody who works for or consults for me is considered of any wrongdoing. That we are not suspected of any wrongdoing whatsoever. which is kind of a cool little gotcha moment for me, because along the path of figuring out that these people were attacking me simply because I was asserting my voice, they disclosed to me among these pages and pages of detailed information that they wanted about everything under the sun. They wanted me to kind of climb back through 10 years of the company history. I know what it is. It's a fishing expedition. And I knew that from the beginning. I'm pretty confident they're not going to find anything substantial, but they just kept pushing. And when I would answer, it would be this massive, it was like a 2 or 3 month process. And it was always like, you have 30 days to answer this thing. It's 5 pages, and it would take me 70 man hours to answer the things. It's meant to be emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and financially draining. And it is. It's no fun, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But that's the way that leftists are trying to shut me down and turn off my voice. Because now, add to it, since I started, I now have UnWoke, and I'm going head to head with Wall Street. I know enough about Wall Street, big finance, globalist banks, etc., to uncover a lot. And I also happen to work on, with, and for many, many hundreds of millions of dollars. I've got, just within the past week, we've got in this line of work, I've got another 6,000 people-ish and about $200 million that's at play. And the people who understand my area of the marketplace know that they don't want somebody who's conservative affecting and impacting that world. Well, I don't care. I don't care what they want. I don't care what sort of fits and rages they go into. I don't care what sort of emails and big, thick, packety letters they send me. My job is not to make them happy, because they're clearly anti-American, anti-West, capitalism destroying nonsense. And my job is now clearly to go in the direction of UnWoke. So I made monumental, fundamental changes to everything about this company. I didn't like it, I didn't enjoy it, and I'll never be okay with it, because it's my company, and I put a tremendous amount into making it what it is and what it became. I'm thankful to have had the years at this company, Planned Partners, but I've actually put out there and communicated to all those agencies and all the people that I work with and communicate with, and the ones that look to me for consulting services and help in that space where I'm an expert. I've told them we're not accepting any more advisory clients, because that's the work that puts me under the thumb of those regulators. And I can't afford to do that. And basically, I want to put it this way, so it hopefully is understandable. My view is I cannot be within Wall Street, I have to air quote that, Wall Street, and subject to regulatory oversight from Wall Street, while also being a whistleblower and talking about the issues and problems with woke Wall Street. It doesn't work. I can't do both. I can't be within that environment, clearly under attack for having the voice that I do, and maintain that sort of uneasy equilibrium and trying to appease them while also trying to point out to you, my fellow citizens, what the issues are. So I have allowed massive fundamental changes to the company, and that's why, you know, the old adage, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. As they've attacked me, I have worked out parallel economy. And so there's a lot of great stuff now that's coming out of this. And I think maybe, hopefully, it's fortuitous and it was meant to be, because the financial PMA, I still believe, I've done searches. Please, if you're in the audience and you find something or know a PMA in the world of finance that existed before us, let me know, because it's my understanding at this point still, we are the first financial PMA, and that's actually our website, financialpma.com. That website is a private club designed for us to work together and get away from those weaponized regulators and all the industry that is designed to steer us into the woke left. That's what the Financial PMA is all about. There's a little short intro video that I put up on the landing page, financialpma.com. It also led to my great new friends, Matt and Drew, over at Inspire. It led to understanding and discovering Inspire Advisors and Inspire Insight. It also led to my friendship with Second Vote. And now, as of coming up on a year ago, Second Vote closed and have given me personally all of the research and data. There's about a decade of information and research that went into Second Vote. I have all of that. It's actually stored with friends of mine, Andrew Ridow and the folks over at Liberation Tech. I also have a backed up copy on our servers here in the offices. So eventually, part of the plan is to revive that and maybe bring some of that back to life as well. But these are the things that come out of having that mindset. When you get attacked, punch back. Don't give in to bullies. My suggestion, as you hear of this, and I think it's very common, it's happening, unfortunately, all over the country, and it's probably happening to people you know, or when it happens to you personally. I hope you take this to heart. Don't give up. The plan is to beat us into submission and make everything feel so bleak and dark and gloomy and feel like we've lost our country and our nation, our freedoms, and all that we hold dear as they left continue to attack our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, etc., as they degrade our last placed, most expensive school system in the developed world, and they go after media, closing down conservative media organizations, and they silence people on social media. You know the drill. This is all the stuff that they're doing in order to try and demoralize and destroy what we hold dear and the tremendous worth and value of this pinnacle of hope and freedom and liberty that we call America. Don't let it happen. When they attack, please find that path forward. It won't be easy. It's not easy. Just know that. You got to know that to your core. It's not easy, but it's worth it, and it's got to be done. That is a little sharing. I didn't plan on bringing up planned partners, but it really felt appropriate given all that's going on in today's circumstances. By the way, I want to put a little personal note in for those who are suffering from the impacts of two major hurricanes. My brothers and sisters in the southern states in the United States, my heart goes out to you. I hope that you find shelter, safety, freedom, and that we all find America again soon. It's so disappointing and frustrating to see what's happening and just the utter despair and the lack of support from those governmental agencies and services that we would like to have relied upon. That, in my book, is another example of how bad and broken the far left is. They've destroyed much of what we would like to consider good and valuable within our government, in addition to healthcare, education, and finance. But enough with my rant. I'm Jonathan Broadbent. This has been another episode of UnWoke Academy. Thanks for listening.